Hey guys, so today's video is a little bit different. Obviously, you can probably see that it's not actually a video, it's a podcast, and it's the first episode of my husband and I's podcast called S and L, the S being for Sean, which is his name, and L being myself. So Sean, do you want to say hi?
Hello.
Hello. So this first episode, we've kind of always found that we converse about books and comics and those kinds of things, and so we were thinking, okay, we should just put the microphone on and make it a podcast, because I think half our conversations, I feel like you guys would kind of want to be a part of the conversation as well. And today's topic in particular is going to be about gatekeepers, which is something that Sean introduced the term to me, and so I think I'll let him explain it to you guys. I'm sure a lot of you already know what it is, but I didn't for the longest time until he told me.
So a gatekeeper would be someone who who's watching over a fandom. Like they have to test people to see if they're real fans through trivia or just
judgment.
How much do you know?
But
I was gonna say something else, but I probably won't say
something
else.
Inappropriate.
No, I just don't want to offend the listeners.
Oh.
But yeah, if you think of the comic book guy from The Simpsons, that would be primary gatekeeper.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have a real definition.
Yes. So if we go to Urban Dictionary, which is quite the resource to start this out with, we have two definitions, actually. When someone takes it upon themselves to decide who does or does not have access or rights to a community or identity.
So that's the one we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's several ways that you can say it. So here's some examples. I love punk bands like Green Day. Ugh, they're not even punk. They totally sold out. That second person is a gatekeeper.
Is that what it says?
No.
You're just clarifying.
Commentary.
Oh,
yes.
okay. I see.
Oh man, I love Harry Potter. I am such a geek. Hardly. Talk to me when you're into theoretical physics. That is also a gatekeeper. And this one is a little, I just don't know who this person is, so I'm going to try to pronounce their name. Erica Moan is my favorite queer cartoonist. She's not queer. She married a man. So that, in response, you could say, quit your gatekeeping. No one died and made you queen of the gays. That's what it says on here.
Oh, that one's not your commentary.
No, that's not my commentary. That's actually there. All right, and then, so there's a second definition, which we probably won't go into today, but keep this in mind as well. Gatekeeping, the act of talking to a friend or peer who is taking a shit. Oh, wait, I probably shouldn't say who is going to the bathroom. I'll start over, sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. My husband is just reading a curse word.
Sorry,
We'll
everyone.
keep it PG from here.
So anyways, the examples for that one. Person 1 answers phone. Hello? Person 2, hey, what's up? Person 1, nothing really, just sitting around. Person 2, wrong, you're gatekeeping again. Person 1, you.
So they're talking to them while they're
on the toilet.
Does it have to be on the phone?
No, I don't think so. It didn't specify. I would think it could just be.
So like someone comes home, they're like, honey, I'm home, and they're like, hey, how was work? And it's like, are you gatekeeping right now?
Right, yeah, exactly. That is, I think that's suitable.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so that one's not necessarily pertaining to today's discussion. It's just a fun extra definition for gatekeeping. But Sean sent me a link to this one article that some of you might have seen, the Female Fantasy Fan Problems video that I made, and that was kind of just poking fun at the idea that this very same thing, that as females who like not only just fantasy but science fiction as well, that a lot of times we get questioned for it, or we get told there's no possible way, or I don't believe you, and sometimes it's a very passive aggressive. They're not even that straightforward. It's just kind of a okay. I did have somebody, this actually made it really sad. I had somebody comment on that video saying that they were at the bookstore with their dad. And they're like a grown woman. And she was at the science fiction fantasy section, and this guy was just creeping, and he was middle-aged, she said, and he just kind of kept asking her, like, oh, do you need help finding the romance section? And she was like, no, I'm good, thanks. And then finally he just kind of told her, oh, you don't belong in this section. And it's like, okay. Like, I didn't realize this bookstore had customers determining who could look in what section. But anyway, so that video was kind of just making fun of the fact that sometimes people go through this, not just girls, but anybody, and that it's so silly and ridiculous that people...
I think it's fair to say it's often women, though.
Yeah, that get told. I think when it comes to what nowadays is called nerd culture, you know, like with all the Marvel movies, everybody and their mom is wearing a Captain America t-shirt, or everybody's wearing the Avengers t-shirts and stuff. And I'm sure if you've been a fan of that stuff for a really long time, it might be a little aggravating to see everybody now acting like they've been fans for forever. But regardless, I feel like I love Mistborn, Stormlight Archive, and the Cosmere books in general. And if all of a sudden it blew up and it got really popular, I don't think my reaction is going to be, what the heck? No, they don't really like it. Like, what? I'm excited if more people like it. Like, why aren't more people excited about other people liking it? And if people are faking it, or if they're super casual fans, well, then your conversations just aren't going to go very far when you talk to them, because they clearly they're not going to know a lot.
I think it's bad. Gatekeeping is bad. But I think to an extent, I feel like everyone is
everyone's
capable. I mean, I feel like if I see a Marvel movie based off of a comic I've read, I'm going to be more like, meh, I know what's happening. Or like if you're a Game of Thrones fan, you've read the books for those first couple seasons, maybe you weren't ready, because Game of Thrones is such a global thing now. It's more the TV show than the books, which I think if you're a book fan of Game of Thrones, maybe... Sorry, A Song of Ice and Fire.
Oh yeah, real gatekeepers will definitely be like, it's not called Game of Thrones. A real fan would know that.
Yeah. I don't know, I think you have to stop yourself. Maybe I have to stop myself from being like
that. Because you're saying it's like
Marvel movies.
It's a tendency. Yeah, well, it's funny because people get... If somebody brings up gatekeeping, so in the case of as a female, if you mention like that girl who was telling me that story of what happened at the bookstore, sometimes people get upset that somebody is even bringing up that they had this happen to them. So in this case, it'd be like if a man decided he was offended that you told that story simply because it was a man who came and said those things to her. So it's like they think you're attacking all men. It's like, no, I just thought that one guy was a tool. It doesn't... Some people get upset that you're even bringing it up, or they're like, it's not even a real problem, you're just making a problem. It's like, no, clearly not. Like, other people go... It's like, okay, if somebody comes up to me who's black, and they're like, oh my gosh, this white guy called me the N-word, and I was like, what the heck, my husband's a white man. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, he's not talking about my husband. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you think people get offended on behalf of the people of the people who are doing the gatekeeping? So in this instance, if like females are talking about, oh, I get told I can't be a real fan if I just because I'm a girl, and men, not all men, but like some guys who don't do that, they're not even the ones that are gatekeepers. They just hear that a man did it, and then they'll be like, oh, what the heck? It's not like all men are pigs. Yeah, we didn't say that. We didn't say like all of you are doing it.
People are just weird and defensive. I don't know. I can't explain that.
You mean as a man you can't explain all other men?
No, I cannot, unfortunately. But as myself, I guess I can say I maybe get the mindset of the gatekeeper. You know, like I get like maybe if you've cherished, X-Men for, 40 years or whatever, and you've collected all the comics, and then everyone's watching X-Men movies. X-Men is a bad example. I should say Avengers or something, because X-Men's not really.
Oh, that's a
no
good. Who's gatekeeping?
Yeah, no one cares about that. But I kind of get that. But at the end of the day, it's like, can't they just discover it now? You know, maybe you've been reading it or watching it or whatever longer, but does it take enjoyment away from you if someone else is discovering it in a new generation? Shouldn't you want that?
Right.
Because my example is like, I haven't read a single Guardians of the Galaxy comic ever. And I think, if I understand correctly, the Guardians of the Galaxy movies are not like the comics, like, at all. Like, they're not like goofy, campy, fun time for the most part. So but I love that movie.
Right.
I feel like, you love the first one. I love the first one. I don't really love the second one.
We don't like,
But I could see someone being like, oh, you haven't even read it, you don't know what it's about. And I'm like, no, you're right.
Well, you did that the other day.
I see?
Yeah, because we were talking about the Teen Titans, and you were saying Robin, you were like, that's not even like what his character's like. And I was like, I wouldn't have. I mean, aren't there like multiple Robins? You're like, yeah, well, that one's not like that. And I was like, oh, well, like, I don't know if most people wouldn't know that. I guess I wouldn't have known that. So I would have just taken it at face value if I didn't know you. And you're like, oh, that's true. I guess it. And I wasn't trying to like say like, stop being annoying, Sean. It was more of just like, oh, I had no idea. And then you said the same thing about Raven, right?
Yeah, but that's more just me wanting the characters to
be better, but not being mad at other people who might end up liking the show.
If that's your first experience with the Teen Titans, then that doesn't bother me.
Right. Well, it would be like if they made a Mistborn movie, and Vin was all timid and super vain or something, and I'd be like, what the heck? That's not what she's like at all. And then if people liked the movie, I would for sure turn into a gatekeeper, I suppose. Because then I'd be like, no, it's garbage. You don't understand.
Right, exactly. That's you don't even
understand. So I could see where I think for me, I don't mind people wanting something to stay true to what it is and maybe being a little bit annoyed when somebody loves an adaptation that's not even close to the source material. Because then you don't even understand. It's kind of valid. You know, it's, oh, well, what does it matter? They did a good job with it, but it's not the same. It's not actually what it is. But what I don't get is the sheer disbelief that somebody couldn't like something purely because of how they look. That's what I think is as obnoxious. It's like, I remember one time, okay, so for those of you that have seen my vlogs, you've seen my dad. I think you can kind of pin the kind of person he is just seeing a couple clips of him. He's basically a cowboy without the cows. I mean, he grew up working on farms, picking cotton, and he's very old, Western, old-timey kind of guy. But he saw the movie Burlesque with Christina Aguilera, and he was like, dang, that girl can sing. Did you know she could sing? I was like, I've heard her sing, yeah. He's like, I didn't know she could sing like that. And then he made me come over and watch the movie Burlesque with him. And so, he's a guy that I feel like you wouldn't expect to like that movie, but he told me, well, I want the soundtrack to that. Get that for me for Christmas. So there was one year, my cousins from California, so very much California girls, came into town. They know the kind of guy my dad is, and they were like, what are you going to get your dad for Christmas? Because they were in town for Thanksgiving. We were going Black Friday shopping, and I was like, he wants the soundtrack to Burlesque. And they're like, no, he doesn't. And they did not believe me. They're like, you want the soundtrack to Burlesque. I'm like, it's a good album. It's actually a great album, but it's for him, I swear. And they're like, no, he definitely doesn't want that. There's no way he wants that. And they just couldn't believe that he was into that. So I found that really funny. It's definitely surprising sometimes when you find out maybe like an athlete super into fitness and stuff is also really into Pokemon or something, you know?
Right. Yeah, so I think, you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, But I think comic books and video games, they have the biggest women can't be in my zone, kind of fandom.
I think there's, well, you sent me that article,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they kind of pinpointed it a little bit. It either falls into there's no way girls can like this stuff, or I don't get why more girls don't like this stuff. And sometimes it seems like the people in the second category, when they do meet a girl who does like it, they worship her. And they're like, oh my gosh, she likes video games, and they freak out. Not all of them, of course. I think that's in general.
But that'd be the anti-gatekeeper.
Yeah, that's the anti-gatekeeper.
That'd be just left
the
the
one
gate
that's
wide
craving.
Open. Yeah.
That
Not
one's
even
craving.
guarding it well. You have to guard it way better.
They were sleeping on the job.
Yeah.
They got drunk. Yeah. Anyway, then there's the other ones that definitely, if I post a Witcher video and it's like, chick pretending to like Witcher, LMAO. So, okay. I mean, sure.
Yeah, and it's like all of the people. Well, I say people. Once again, men. All the men upset with anytime there's a comic book character who is replaced by like a female or a person of color or something. Like when Wolverine died, and they.
Oh wait. This might spoil stuff for people.
Wolverine's been dead. He's alive again. It's fine. So
Okay.
Wolverine died.
Okay.
I
mean, they always come back.
Yeah, and then, but X-23, Laura, she was Wolverine. I'm doing air quotes. You can't see them.
Okay.
She was Wolverine
Right.
for a good chunk.
Well, and Gwen Stacy was Spider-Man, right? Didn't you say? Or she? Well,
That's a different universe.
Okay, but
But
the
yeah.
okay. Speaking of gatekeeper, thanks for correcting me. And then didn't what's her name become Thor essentially?
Yeah. So I'll spoil this too because it's been a long time.
Okay.
Jane Foster becomes Thor for a bit.
Yeah.
There's someone, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but there's a female Iron Man for a bit, but just tons of hate, from
Right.
like, I don't know, just
Or-
obnoxious
We won't,
individuals.
we won't get into specifics, but we have seen some people who pretty much anytime the writer of a comic book series is a woman or the artist is a woman, they will rate the comic lower. They will make rant reviews. You're more familiar with this than I am.
I am more familiar,
Yeah.
and it's painful and it's annoying, and unfortunately that person has a
large
following and like a following on Twitter and stuff too.
Well, and you would hope. I think I think a lot of the times people assume that, there's not, that's like that one guy. That one guy is just being like that. Or that one girl. Because girls can do this also. But like, that one girl is just like this. But then you see the comments section. And you see all the people that are like, yeah, that's right. Women shouldn't be drawing comics. They're just going to make them all flat-chested. Like, we've seen actual
that's
legitimate
real.
Yeah, comment section of videos of people who are upset that females are drawing somewhat realistically proportioned females. but then they're even just talking about it. I feel like you can be like, oh my goodness, that's not. Ugh. Like, you get embarrassed because you will have a comic that you want to bring to a coffee shop and you want to read it in the coffee shop, but the cover has Black Widow popping out of her leather zipped up, outfit, and
that's not even that old of a series. That was like 2010, maybe, when that cover came out. I feel like they're getting better, but I know what you're.
Yeah.
The one you're referring to.
Her arms are like up in the air. She looks like a cheerleader.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just they're bigger than her head. Each one individually is bigger than her head. I feel like it's a lot bigger than her head, which is really realistic. And also,
Right, yeah.
I should just know that comics aren't for chicks and just stick.
Right, you shouldn't be offended by that.
Right, it's not
all.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's our thing.
It's your thing, yeah. And that's what you like.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though, like, you know, comic book conventions and all that. I mean, comic cons are bigger than just comic books now, but lots of women, surprisingly enough, they attend them too.
Really?
What's going on?
What? Don't they know their place? Don't they know it's not where they belong? They need to go home and make cookies and brownies for when the men return from these comic book conventions.
Right, and definitely don't think about bringing your kids
Absolutely
to
not.
see
unless it's
the make-believe characters in bright costumes.
Well, unless it's a young boy, in which then you're trying to show him what is going to be his future.
But only after he's read at least 100 issues of, you know, Spider-Man or something.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
We're getting a little
We're getting too caught up in
with our own amusement.
Yeah. But yeah, so those kinds of covers, or even if you just flip open a page and you're like, whoa, because wasn't there a Green Lantern one that you're like,
Oh yeah, Green Lantern from, I mean, once again, not that old. Like Green Lantern early 2000s, Jeff Johns. I mean, great artists on it, but, you know, it is kind of odd that the men, their suits go up to, like, their necks, and the ladies have, like, zippers for some reason, like, unzip partially. It's like, wait,
probably
why
so
are they all, like...
if the men want to get busy with them, easier access.
Well, that wouldn't happen in a Green Lantern comic.
But it's assumed. It's implied.
I guess it's, yeah, Hal Jordan.
Well, actually, I shouldn't even say that, because how easy is it for them to get themselves ready to go?
What are we talking about anymore?
Well, I mean, if they're gonna do something with the ladies, they gotta also.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And that's not, it's
probably
like,
not very easy. Those spacesuits look pretty confining.
So
unless you're a female Green Lantern, then they're not very confining.
In Green Lantern, so like the you can make things come into existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you make things come out of existence?
Mm-mm.
No. Are there suits made into existence?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay.
Although that's a good question. I guess no, I don't think so. I think they have actual suits.
If you were a real Green Lantern fan.
I know. If I was a real Green Lantern fan,
you would know.
I'm thinking about this now. I don't know.
You should have really prepared.
I should have researched.
Yeah.
I didn't know Green Lantern trivia.
Always be prepared. A real fan would know.
That's right. I need to... See, now I know I'm not a real Green Lantern fan.
Yeah, you don't even know how their suits work. Well, since we're talking about the fact that, just know who the comics are for. They're not for... they're not for the ladies. They're for guys. And so if you don't like it, well, suck it. It's not for you anyway, right? But then it begs the question, why are the guys so jacked? And why do they have such a prominent bulge? Is that also what's liked?
I don't know.
Because sometimes it's a little alarming.
That's true. There's definitely some bat bulge going on.
Do you think it's like neck beard kind of wish fulfillment?
I don't know. You know, neckbeard was the term I decided not to use earlier. I feel like...
when you filtered yourself.
Yeah, I feel like neckbeard.
I
don't know. Just like, you're a neckbeard. But, you know...
Well, sometimes you have a neck beard.
I know.
So I'm allowed to say it?
Well,
Is that how it works? That's how it works, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I was going to say something, but I don't remember. Oh. Quick divergent a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Just on comics, because I feel like I've kind of hijacked this into comic book land, and maybe we can go back to books or video games. But speaking of female writers and artists, Monstrous just won 5 Eisners this year. For Marjorie Liu got Best Writer. Sana Takeda, if I'm saying her name correctly, she got Best Cover Artist, and I think Best Artist also.
But it's probably only because all these social justice warriors have to get their 2 cents in, and all these platforms are listening to them. That's probably the only reason.
That's probably the only reason.
Yeah.
Or it's really good.
No.
Which I think it is.
It's 2 women. No way.
Yeah, it's 2 women writing about female characters.
Ugh, gross. This is gross.
Anyways, that was my divergent. Is that the right word? My detour. Detour.
Just go with
word.
detour.
Yeah.
Just take the simple word.
What do you think about video games? Is there still like you can't like video games because you're a girl? Well, actually, no. You're just saying that's true. The whole Witcher.
I think
fiasco.
For the most part, books and comics and video games, I think in general people care less if who likes them, whether it be it doesn't really matter. I think people are just kind of like, yeah, I guess people like it. I mean, it's just pushing buttons. I didn't realize that you had to look a certain way to push some buttons. So, I would say, are you referring to gatekeepers or how the females look?
Well, I think maybe I'm just showing. Well, we can talk about both of those. I heard the second part of your question. I think I'm just not as into in the know for video games. Like, I feel like more women are playing video games, but is there like an internet element, that's like, no, girls shouldn't play games? Like, is that like a thing? Because I feel like we've been seeing, I don't know, like Horizon Zero Dawn, I think has a like
awesome,
female protagonist.
Aloy.
What was that?
Aloy.
Aloy, yes.
The first time you saw her, you're like, ugh, so on the nose.
I mean, her name is basically Alloy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It might be a bit of a spoiler. It's like the story you always tell about how your dad knew in Harry Potter.
Professor Lupin.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a werewolf.
Yeah. Anyway, the thing is, I don't play online. So.
Oh, okay. That's a good point.
Most of my video game playing is, I'm going to lock myself in my room all day and not come out.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, actually, I have to tell this story. It's kind of gross, but when I was a kid, that's all I did. Like, there's nowhere for my sister and I to go when we were kids because it's so hot in Arizona. And over the summer, for instance, this upcoming week, we have a couple days that the highs are 116, 115 degrees. So in the summer, when you're 10 years old, you're not going to go outside and go walk to the store that's a mile away. It's too hot. So it was we had to do something inside, and my older sister never wanted to play with me. She didn't want to talk to me. I was not cool for her. So that's part of why I got into playing video games, because it was something to do. Books also. Reading books and drawing and playing violin and all that stuff. So stuff I could do by myself. And when I was a kid, I would play video games pretty much all day long. And there was one time I was playing Spyro.
Classic.
Yeah, great game. I was playing Spyro, but that game made me really dizzy. But I was like, I gotta keep going. I gotta keep playing. I was like, I don't feel very good, but I gotta keep going. I just started feeling so gross. And I laid my face into the ground, trying to feel better. And I was like, I feel so gross. And then I kept playing. And finally, at some point, I was like, I think I'm gonna throw up. So I went into the bathroom, and then I threw up. And then I was like, oh, I feel better. And then I just went back to playing Spyro. See,
that's dedication.
Yeah. So most of my video game playing was just by myself, playing a lot of it.
But I think what you're bringing up is probably this is the main point of
what
why
I said.
gatekeepers don't make sense.
Okay.
So you enjoyed playing Spyro by yourself. Isn't that just, can't we just get over it?
Oh, so are you talking about the idea that girls would only do it to impress?
No. Well, I'm not really. I'm just saying, isn't that what we should all want? Like if someone, if a girl likes comic books and she reads comic books, who's that hurting?
Right.
You know, or if a
You
girl
don't even know her.
Yeah,
you
if
don't
a girl
even know
plays
she
video
exists.
games and enjoys it, that's not hurting anyone. How is it hurting you as like this? Oh,
OG.
Yeah, I know
gamer.
more about this topic than you.
Yeah.
So therefore, you shouldn't participate.
Well, I
yourself.
I want to answer the other parts of the question. So I do think that more girls are into video games now. I think as far as how females look in video games, I remember playing Final Fantasy X, and every time the da 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 when you'd finish the battle, and Lulu, if she was the last one to finish the creatures off, she of course bent over. She's already wearing a dress that doesn't. There's like no way it should stay up. And at the end of the battle, she doesn't flip her sword up in the air. She doesn't give like a, woo, we did it. She bends over and then like pushes her chest together, basically. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Is it a worse pose than Black Widow screaming with her hands in the air?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's far worst. Far worst. It's far worse.
Far worse.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, but then Final Fantasy X-2 came out, and I was so pumped for it, which that game turned out to basically be garbage. Like, I just pretend for the most part it doesn't exist. But for this conversation, we're going to talk about it. Well, it came out, and it was all the girls, basically. There weren't any main characters that were guys. And it's like, oh, okay, I mean, that's kind of cool. And then the first images started showing up, and they're all basically, like, in their, like, bikinis. Like, it doesn't, their outfits. And then the battle system, it was, like, changing outfits. So different outfits gave you different
powers,
different abilities.
Why
So,
was that not done with an all-male cast?
I don't know. It should have been. I'm sure it would have sold really well.
Yeah.
The only reason I played it was because, well, I don't want to spoil that game for anybody. Unlike you, I don't want to spoil stuff.
Oh, sorry.
but yeah, I didn't want to. Anyway, yeah, so I played it because I was curious to see if certain events from the first one would come back into play in the second one. And they kind of did, but it really wasn't worth it. It was better to just pretend that the first one ended there, and that was that. Because it was a great ending, but I don't want to get sidetracked by that. What was the other thing that I wanted to answer that question before getting into... like the who is it harming?
Yeah, I guess that's my point of like, well, I don't understand, and I don't think I ever will, how someone else's enjoyment
affects your enjoyment
of the same
thing.
It shouldn't affect your enjoyment.
Right. It's the hipster effect.
That is true.
Which makes me, it's kind of funny because it seems like one of two things happen. Either something gets so big that there's a backlash.
Mm-hmm.
So Twilight, for example, got really big, and then all of a sudden, anybody who liked Twilight was, not anybody, but a lot of people were like, oh yeah, I guess it is pretty stupid. And then now it's the thing to hate on. For some reason, that never happened with Harry Potter. I mean, people will poke fun at it, but I think if you compare Harry Potter to Twilight, and it's not a matter of being about quality, because I'm not addressing the quality of it. I'm just talking about the fact that Harry Potter got super, super popular and then never had the backlash. Twilight got super, super popular, and then all of a sudden it was cool to hate on Twilight. And then I think sometimes in this case with the Marvel movies, it's kind of like, rather than the people who originally liked it pretending like they don't like it because it's popular now, it's like, instead of them having to give up their love of it, they want you to give up your love of it, because you can't possibly actually really like it. You only like the movie, and the movie's not even exactly the same. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And comic book readers should be wanting new people to watch the movie and then read the comics, because
comics don't die out.
Yeah, comics don't sell super well. You know, like, I mean, I don't think it will happen, but I mean, the movies make like billions of dollars. The comics do not. Like, not even close. Like, so I don't know. I don't know the numbers, but I don't know if the movies necessarily are bringing a lot of people into comic book stores. I think more people will like pick up maybe like Avengers or Black Panther or something at like Barnes and Noble. I don't think people will necessarily go buy an issue.
So you don't think
at a comic book store?
I was just about to say, you don't really think the movies are bringing that many people into the comic book shops. They're bringing people into maybe the comic book
section.
Shelf.
Yeah,
at a major retailer.
Right, yeah.
That sells primarily books.
But anyways, you don't want to be shunning potential new
fans.
Fans, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know.
Because what if it dies out?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a practicality thing. Because someday you're going to die.
Exactly, yeah.
So, someday you're going to die, and every one of your friends who also has your weird mind mentality,
is also going to die.
If you succeeded in shaming everybody enough into not liking your thing, and then all of a sudden all of you die, and then it's going to go away. Maybe that's what they want.
Maybe that is what
they want it to die with them. We've solved it.
Now I understand.
We've solved the crisis of gatekeeping.